Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast with Kelly Paxton, pink collar crime expert, Joe Irvin, your person for all things ethics, and Robert Berry, the guy who helps you ask better questions. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com and grab some CPE while you're there.
Well, welcome everyone to episode number 107. You know what? I feel like James Bond, 007. I guess that's 107, but hey, close enough, right? Close enough.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Christine.
Right before the 4th of July, as Tuesday, so not really a long weekend, but.
Right before the 4th of July. So look, Christine, why don't you tell everybody who you are?
I am Christine Murray. I am an internal audit manager. Not a consultant. Don't have any businesses or services that I can offer, but I've been in the financial sector for well over 20 years, doing audit for over 10. So that's me.
So you've seen your fair share of frauds over the years.
I've caught a big fraud.
You've caught the big fraud. You know what? One day we should pull some frauds that you've caught, maybe some ones that I've caught, and we should pull the news stories and talk about what the news said and then other stuff if we can.
Yeah, because mine was, I had coworkers that helped as well, but 1.7 million.
Wow. Yeah. That's not a small.
I think she's out of prison now. So.
Oh, she's out now. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So, Christine, let me ask you a question.
Go for it.
Have you ever gotten a call from like the IRS or the FBI telling you that you were in trouble?
No, I have not. The most phone calls I've gotten was about extended car warranties. Oh. And then my husband gets the Medicare ones. That's as exciting as it gets.
Those are the worst. Mm-hmm. You know, pretty regularly though, the IRS, and for those outside of the U.S., because believe it or not, we have an audience outside of the U.S., a big audience outside of the U.S., and for that, I thank you all. But for those of you outside of the U.S., the IRS is the Internal Revenue Service, and they collect taxes. And so they have to put out messages every year saying, we don't call you, because a lot of people try and scam folks. So listen, today's person, she got a call. Her name is Valeria. She got a call one Monday morning, and she picked it up. But normally she doesn't pick up phone calls from numbers that she doesn't recognize. And it was someone claiming to be Officer Robert Daniels from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency. And he told her something shocking. He told her that he had a warrant for her arrest. He told her he had a warrant for her arrest. Now, if somebody called you and said that to you, what would be the first thing that you would do, Christine? What would you do?
I would automatically assume that they had the wrong person if they were calling me, because I'm pretty sure, like, I know if I've done something wrong, I know what's in my closet. I probably would start laughing and being like, I don't know why you're calling me. I've been out of the country once. Like, what do I have anything to do with U.S. Customs and Border Protection or Border Patrol?
So I'm curious for everyone listening. If you got a phone call from an agent of the U.S. government saying that they had a warrant for your arrest, what in the world would you do? Now, Stephanie is saying that she would just laugh. Stephanie's saying that she would laugh. Okay, you know what? Here's what I would do, because I'm a little crazy like that. I would do exactly what our person today, what Valeria did. I would hit the internet and I would Google them. So that's what she did. She Googled this person, and sure enough, the name checked out. But not only did the name check out, but the phone number listed on the U.S. Customs Border and Protection Agency website checked out too. And they said that they had intercepted a package coming from Mexico to the U.S. And in it, they found narcotics, they found driver's licenses, and they found fake social security numbers, all in her name. So now, what would you do now if it had escalated? You had Googled and the name came out to be a legitimate person, and they said that they found this stuff addressed to you.
I don't know. There's a part of me that I think I would want to hang up and try calling that number back. Kind of like what your banks tell you. If we call you and you're not sure if it's us, hang up and call us back at the number that you know is our number. I think I'd be shocked. I'd just be like, this isn't real. This can't be real. What would you do?
Okay. You know, I think that I would have asked more questions. And like you, I probably would have hung up and called back. However, I would have hesitated for a while before calling back because I looked at my caller ID and then I looked at the number on the website for this person and it seemed to be a legitimate person. So at some point, I would have asked more questions to try and figure out what in the world was going on while my heart was beating fast and while I was sweating because I mean, I haven't been out of the country in a while either, but I think the last time I went out of the country, it was to Mexico. So,
Did you have one of those crazy nights, Robert, that you don't remember?
I did not have a crazy night that I don't remember though. And that would have been what I would have been thinking. Hey, what happened? You know, and Stephanie's saying like a business in a box. Yeah. An illegal business at that though. Now Stephanie is saying they spoof phone numbers. They do. Which would be
and I think that's why I would call back.
Right.
But
Okay. So now, our young lady in this story, she did not call back. However, the Customs and Border Patrol officer said that he also found 2 illegal properties in her name in Texas, along with some illegal bank accounts. Now, she was adamant that they weren't hers because she lives in New York and has no connections to Texas. No connections to Texas at all.
I think I would start. Like you said, you would end up asking questions. I think I would get to the point where I'd be like, all right, what is the address of these properties? I'd be like Google searching who is on the title of the property, like making sure. I think I would start digging a little bit more after that point because I probably would start to worry.
Yeah. So it gets better because he then connected her with the U.S. Marshal in Texas. And the U.S. Marshal answered the phone and actually had a Texas accent, a Southern accent, as he was talking to her about the illegal properties in her name. So now she's talked to someone from Custom Border Patrol, and now she's talking to a U.S. Marshal. The first call was about drugs and fake IDs. Now the second call is about some property in her name, and she lives in New York, but the property is in Texas. Now Stephanie says, easy to find property records. But not everybody knows how to find them though. And then you're afraid because you've just been accused of something fairly heinous, right? Okay. So now at this point, you would have started Googling the properties, Christine. Okay.
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah. Okay. So now,
if anything, to see what they look like. I don't know.
to see if they were to see if they look like the kind of properties you would steal.
Yeah.
All right. So for everybody listening right now, what would you do? And let's play catch up for a little bit. You get a call from someone who says that they work for Customs Border Patrol and they've intercepted some packages with your name on it that has drugs, an illegal identification in it. Then this person also tells you that they found some illegal property in your name in the state of Texas, but you live in New York. So they transfer you to a U.S. Marshal that actually lives in Texas, picks up the phone with a Texas accent, with a Southern accent, and starts talking to you about the illegal property. Bonita, what would you do? I see you joined a little late. That's why I'm doing this recap. What would you do if all that happened to you, Bonita? Boy, this is sounding scary, though, isn't it, Christine?
It is. I mean, because at that point, what, she's talked to two people?
Yes, two people.
Two people. She's Googled both of those people.
Yep.
Numbers match both of those people. Yeah, I think I would then really start to panic.
Yeah, I think for me at this point, panic would start to set in too. But it didn't stop there. She went back and forth with them, adamant that she had done nothing wrong. But then the caller connected her to a New York City police department that was only a few blocks from where she lived. And again, the name and phone number used seemed to be legitimate, and the caller had New York accents.
I don't know.
Now,
I think I would start losing it.
You think you would have started what now?
Like losing it. Like I'd have the laughing, the unsteady laughing, like this is just not happening.
Yeah. I think at this point I would have just been ready to turn myself in. I would have convinced myself that I had done it. You do know too, a lot of prison confessions have been under false pretense where people have admitted to doing things that they didn't do because of, the tactics used and things like that. But at this point, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I probably reach out to one of my neighbors. One of my neighbors is a federal prosecutor. So maybe I would probably call him and say, what do I do? And maybe he would know who I could connect with. But I know that not everybody knows people in law enforcement or somebody that can help that way. But I would definitely not put it on the side and just worry about it later. I would be dealing with it right then and there. I'd be dropping everything and being like, I got to get this taken care of.
Now, Stephanie, I think this is Stephanie. Let me cheat over here. Yep, this is Stephanie. This is it right here. She says, I would tell them to send the cops to my door since clearly they have my address. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I never thought about that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So now that she's been connected to the New York police office, here's what they told her. They told her to go to the bank and take out the maximum amount of money that could be withdrawn in one day, and that they would send her a QR image code so that she could convert it to digital currency at an ATM. So they wanted her to take out some of her money and convert it to crypto and send it to her. And the more she pushed back, the more urgent they made the situation. You got to do it now. You got to do it now. And they said that if she didn't act today, that her bank account would be immediately frozen and she wouldn't be able to access any of her money for anywhere between 6 months and 3 years.
Mm-hmm. And I think it was because wasn't the story like they were like, oh, we believe you that you didn't do it?
They started to say that they believed her that she did not do it, but they still asked her to wire some money or to send money via crypto to them.
Mm-hmm. At that point, I would hang up. Then I would know. As soon as they would ask for money, I would know. I would sit there and go, no, that's, yeah.
That would be my thought.
Research, but
yeah. Yeah, I think that at that point, I think you're right. The gig is up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she did. She hung up the phone, and she went to bed nervous. And she said the next day she checked her bank account and her money was still there and her accounts were not frozen. And so she dodged a bullet.
Mm-hmm. They're getting so intricate. It's just crazy. Like, you found somebody with a Texas accent, a New York accent to play this that good.
Well, the thing is, did they really find someone, or did they simply use text to speech generators? Because I kid you
Okay.
not, many of them are so good nowadays that it doesn't take much time in order to generate something. That's
I
the
would
other
have never
thing.
even thought about that.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I was gonna pull up one that I use live, but I'll be darned if they're not in maintenance mode right now. I have another one though. Let me see. But yeah, they work well enough nowadays to where you can type in the text and it will give you a fake voice almost immediately. Now, in the US, the Federal Trade Commission is saying nearly 200,000 people have been targeted this year alone. And this year is not even over yet. And last year, people lost a total of 2.6 billion with a B dollars to what we're calling imposter scams, to what we call imposter scams.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas said he keep talking Texan to see if they say y'all.
That's the
So
test.
yeah, so there are a couple things with this one. First, you can spoof someone's phone number, and that's not anything new, but it's become a lot easier to do nowadays. You can spoof someone's telephone number. You can find who works where because of the internet. So on top of being able to find out where they work and then spoof their number, you can make these fake telephone calls to people. So I think you hit it last time. Hang up and call back.
Yeah. I always think that whatever I'd think I would do would actually happen. But I also know that my emotions would probably drive a lot of my decisions in what it would, and what I would
Yep.
do. So as much as I'm in this calm scenario right now and I'd be like, oh, well, this is what I would do. I would hang up or I would do this. A part of me thinks, but would you, Christy? Because you know that you would start getting anxious and nervous. And would you think of going to the computer right away? Or would you hang up? And I hope I never have to be put into one of those scenarios, but these are what the hopeful things that I would do.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you, after the first round, I wouldn't hang up. I would still be nervous. After maybe the second switch to someone in Texas, then I'd start getting a little skeptical because I would wonder, where would Customs Border Patrol end up having a link to a federal marshal? Because we know our federal agencies don't talk well together. I mean, come on. And then if they had been able to get to a local precinct in New York, I would have been like, nah, I know the local law enforcement agencies aren't communicating with federal law enforcement agencies that well. They're not that much in sync. But they would have gotten me the first round or two, you know, to really to buy into it. Stephanie's, she's spot on. They count on confusion and panic.
Yep.
Yeah.
What would you do once you realize, once they started asking for money, Robert? What would you do at that point? Would you just hang up after they ask for money and you're going, nah, this is a scam?
I see where you're going here.
Or would you play with it and just go with it at
You
that
know, it depends on what kind of mood that I was in, because I might just play with it, which brings us to an edutainment piece of today's show. So we were talking before the show, and we're both going to tell you about these YouTubers that we like. And here's what they do. They actually target the scammers. The first individual is a young woman on YouTube who she's a trained, I don't know, she does a lot of impersonations and she does them very well. She can imitate an old lady, an old man, a young woman. And what she does is when scammers calls, she sends them on a wild goose chase and she'll do it for hours and she'll post it on YouTube and it's very entertaining. Her name is Rosie and her YouTube channel is Rosie IRL, Rosie in real life. I'm going to drop the link in the chat because I think that you should watch it because it's entertaining, but also show it to your grandmother so that she can see what people are doing nowadays. But I just dropped it in the chat for everyone, but it's Rosie IRL and her YouTube is at IRL Rosie. Very entertaining, but also some lessons learned there. Now, Christine is going to tell you about one of her favorite people, and then we're going to talk about what auditors should be looking at in their organizations.
His name is Jim Browning, and he actually hacks into scammers' PCs. So while it's almost really weird how to explain it. So he'll hack into their CCTV stuff and mess with them. But then if they're hacked into somebody else's computer, he'll hack into theirs and then stop the connection so they can't do anything with that person's computer. So I've only seen a couple of his, but they're fun to watch. But I mean, the amount of knowledge that this guy has just blows my mind. I mean, hackers in itself blow my mind, but yeah, so he's another good one to watch.
Yeah. And then there's another guy that I like. He does something similar, except for he hacks, but then he also plays with the people when he's on the phone with them. They'll try to do certain things and they won't be able to do it because, obviously he's in there. And this is a young guy who's doing this one, but yeah, check out Rosie and check out what's his name again?
Jim Browning. I can get the
Jim
spelling.
Browning. Because I think as auditors, let's tie it back into auditing. As auditors, we need to be aware of what's out there and what's possible and what can happen. And when you see these things, it is nothing short of amazing the lengths that people will go to. Sometimes they're sophisticated. Sometimes they are so rudimentary that you're looking at it like, is anybody actually falling for this? But here's the question that I wonder for internal auditors at organizations. If your organization does any kind of outbound calling to customers, have you put any protocols in place and have you communicated those protocols to customers regarding how they can verify that you are legitimate when you call them? That's the question I wonder.
I see it a lot with financial institutions. They put a lot of that out there, but it's also that impact on their operations, their business, and it's a cost to a lot of the financial institutions when they do have people that are get scammed or get baited out of money. Then those customers come back in, they file reports and everything else, and that's a big cost to financial institutions. So I think on their side, they do communicate that out to try and inform their customers of the potential red flags or things to watch out for.
Yeah. And so now for me personally, if I'm an auditor working for an organization, I would be talking to the management team about something like that because it's simple. What is your protocol? Have you communicated it to your customers? Here's the other thing too, from a reputation risk standpoint, wouldn't your customers appreciate you for doing that? So now you're building some goodwill with your customers while actually mitigating your risk, because the more customers you can warn, to your point, the less the damage on the back end when you have to investigate or file an insurance claim for loss or something like that. So yeah. Today's story, my friends, came from an article on NPR. Thankfully, no one was actually defrauded this week. I know normally we have a story where someone has committed a fraud and they've either been indicted or they're facing jail time. In this week's story, she hung up the phone before the fraud could actually occur. But what I thought was really unique about this one were the lengths that the criminals went to in order to attempt to defraud this young lady. And I think there's some lessons there for us.
I just feel bad for the emotional distress that she went through, because what it said that she was on the phone for 3 hours.
3 hours. Can you imagine?
No. I think it would be hard for me to stay on the phone that long.
Yeah. Well, and then too, think about the thought running through her head when they said, we're going to connect you with this police precinct in New York. And it was only a few blocks from where she lived.
Right.
Was
she thinking? Are they going to come for me right away?
Yeah. But I do like Stephanie's take on it, where she said, I would tell them to send the cops to my door since they clearly have my address. But how many other people would actually be able to think like that, fast on their feet? I'm not sure if many of us would be able to.
And a lot of us have been in auditing for a long time, or we're exposed to a lot of these things. We have discussions. You've got your podcast, you've got the Friday Fraudster. So we are aware of these things that are going on. So we know what to kind of look for and watch out for and everything else. I just feel bad for the people that aren't educated in it and do fall for it. Even $5,000, that's a lot of money for a person. $2,000. There's no way I'd want $1,000 gone from my account. But a lot of times, even small amount of money that gets taken, that's what people live off of.
Yeah. Well, and then Stephanie says, and in that time, she's probably verified her SSN, mother's maiden name, etc. The thing is, they probably already had that. That stuff goes for pennies on the dollar. So, yeah, she's right. She probably did verify it, but they may have asked her. They may have said, "Is this your social?" And then she confirmed instead of her actually giving it out. Nowadays, that's kind of the easy stuff. All of our socials are out there. So,
I've got a lockdown on my credit report. I go to the annualcreditreport.com every 3 months. I pull one of them off of there. So I've got it on a rotating schedule, making sure nobody's hitting my credit report that shouldn't be. But I've seen it. I've seen it happen to customers where their identity is just gone. And I would never want to have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's got to be a pain, because you have to literally rebuild your entire life. I would say that that's even worse than, getting in a slump and having bad credit for a period of time, because at least you still have a credit history. If someone has stolen it, you got to start over, because you can't really repair that.
What is that one product that you could purchase to block your credit report? LifeLock? Was it LifeLock?
That's it. LifeLock. Yeah.
So I remember when that first kind of came out, and I was just sitting here going, so you're going to buy a product from a guy who used to steal people's identity. Like, how do you trust that? I don't know if it's still around, but
I'm sure it is. I'm guessing it's been bought by another organization, and now it's a part of a bigger company, would be my guess. It's still around. Oh, Norton bought it. Yep. I somehow I remembered that, but yeah, it's a part of the Norton suite now.
Yep. Okay. I'll have to now I'm going down one of my rabbit holes of research.
Oh boy. All right. So yeah, Stephanie said it. LifeLock. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name either. So Oops, she said she
And
uses it.
uses it.
Okay, yeah. I had their service at one point in time. I don't remember why I got rid of it, but our lessons from today: be vigilant. Tell all your friends and family to be vigilant. And if you're an internal auditor, find out what your organization is doing from the standpoint of assuring their customers that contact between you and them is legitimate. Like, what are we doing? That's something to
And your
put on your radar.
coworkers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And your
Oh, yeah.
coworkers.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't hurt. I mean, I know because like the company that I work for, I mean, we have customers and everything else, but it's not like we've got deposits on hand or anything else. We don't have checking or savings accounts and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that work within my company that would also benefit from that type of education.
Very true. Very true. Stephanie says Norton is horrible. I don't use their software. I know, right? Oh, sorry. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. And you know what? It comes pre-installed on a lot of PCs, depending on where you get it from. And so you have to constantly that or McAfee, and you have to constantly say, no, I don't want your product.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's a whole nother story altogether. But yeah, so all right, you guys, this week, artificial imposters. Be careful. People with their scams, they're getting better and better. They're imitating voices. They're going to the internet and looking up legitimate people and pretending to be them. So they're impersonating people. And it's only going to get worse, especially now. So just what you can do now, and I actually am working with a piece of software that does this because as an auditor, I think we have to test these things, right? I have a piece of software where I can take a photo of you, me, anyone, upload it, and then do overdub and make the lips move in sync with whatever. So this is where we are now. So by the way, while I'm here, let me mention this. Last week on LinkedIn, I did a poll and I asked about artificial intelligence and internal auditors. A lot of you answered that poll. To those of you who answered, I'm going to be responding to you personally. But basically the question was, would you be interested in a course for auditing artificial intelligence specifically for internal auditors? I'm happy to say we're going to do that course Tuesday, July the 11th. Tuesday morning, July the 11th at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we can do all the other time zone adjustments. But this is an introductory course just to get us as internal auditors accustomed to what the actual risks are when it comes to AI. It's free. Message me and put artificial intelligence in the message on LinkedIn, and I'll get the link out to you. That is July the 11th. It's a Tuesday morning, and it's going to be fun.
I got it written down. Question, are you going to record it?
Well, that is the question of the day, right?
Right, because
No.
I like passing a lot of this stuff off to our staff auditor, but I don't think she's gonna get up that early because she's in Arizona time. So I don't think she's gonna get
Well,
up at 6:30 in the morning.
if she
I
really
could
wants
ask
it, she'll be there. But no. I mean, I'm going to record it for me, but I won't be doing a
her.
replay for everybody. This is free information here. This is free information. Now, Stephanie says that she likes Casper. I always say the name wrong. It is a very good product. That name right there that I am not going to say because I'm going to mess it up. Wait, where it is? Right there. Kaspersky. There we go. I got it. But I am familiar with that one. It is a nice product. And there are a few more on the market. We've got to really start looking at our cyber identity because it's getting pretty interesting out there. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this week. Anything else, Christine?
No, everybody enjoy your weekend. Be safe with your fireworks. Keep water by and yeah, all that safe stuff.
I don't know what I need to do to be safe, but you guys do the safe stuff.
Just be safe.
All right. Well, we
Random.
will see you guys next week.
See ya. Thank